Right now, on your e-commerce site, like 99% of your products are probably completely silent.
Oh, absolutely. Just completely silent.
Yeah, they're just sitting there on digital shelves backed by, thousands of dollars in inventory costs. And they're armed with absolutely nothing but a JPEG and a bulleted list of specs to defend themselves.
Which is really a terrible defense in today's market.
Exactly. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at why the retail industry has this massive video problem and why throwing more money at your marketing budget is actually the worst possible way to fix it.
Yeah, it's a completely flawed approach. We're going to explore this insurmountable wall of scale that has kept those products silent
Yeah.
and how artificial intelligence is actually acting as an entirely new assembly line to, rewrite the rules of product merchandising.
Right, because you know the daily tension here. You're a retail executive. On one side, you have your e-commerce dashboards practically screaming at you about conversion drop-offs and cart abandonment.
Oh, the cart abandonment numbers are brutal.
They really are. And then on the other side, you have the physical reality of trying to manage tens of thousands of CPUs. We're pulling today from a really compelling article from Multimedia Plus titled, Home Improvement Retailers Have a Product Video Problem. So, okay, let's unpack this tension. Because managing that volume is one thing, but actively merchandising it.
Right, to a modern consumer.
Exactly. To a consumer who demands a guided experience, that's a completely different beast.
Right.
We're bleeding conversions simply because we cannot efficiently explain the product to the person trying to buy it.
Yeah, and that inability to explain the product at scale, I mean, that's the critical failure point of modern digital retail right now.
It really is.
To understand the friction here, we have to look closely at the behavioral shift in consumer expectations over, say, the last 5 years.
Yeah.
The modern buyer, they don't treat e-commerce like a catalog anymore.
No, they really don't.
They treat it like a consultation. So if someone lands on a product page, the absolute last thing they want to do is read a dense, 3-paragraph block of marketing copy.
Oh, yeah, followed by that dry, tabular list of specifications. Nobody reads that.
Nobody. They demand context. They want to see the item manipulated in three-dimensional space. And they want a really concise, digestible explanation of why those specific features actually matter to their specific use case.
Right. They basically want the digital equivalent of picking the box up off the physical shelf, turning it around in their hands, and having a knowledgeable floor associate, like, tap them on the shoulder to explain why it's the perfect fit.
Exactly. And doing that digitally means relying on video.
It has to be video.
Yeah.
But here's the massive operational roadblock every retail executive hits. I mean, you know the traditional studio pipeline. By the time your legal team reviews a script, you've secured talent, you've booked a studio.
Again, it's the lighting, the filming, the editing.
Right, all the post-production.
Yep.
By the time all that's done, your cost per acquisition model for a $40 hardware item is already underwater.
Completely underwater. The math physically does not allow for traditional video on a long-tail SKU.
It breaks down entirely.
It does. I mean, it's not uncommon for a basic traditional product video to consume weeks of logistical planning and thousands of dollars in budget.
Yeah, for one item?
For one item. Now, map that reality onto a major retail footprint. We're not talking about a boutique carrying 50 curated items here. We are talking about catalogs containing 20,000, 50,000, or even well over 100,000 products online.
With vendor assortments changing weekly.
Exactly. It's mathematically and physically impossible.
You look at the resources required, and it's essentially like having a massive blockbuster movie budget, but you can only afford to film the main character.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. Your hero products, the massive seasonal campaigns, the flagship brand launches, they get the full red carpet treatment with beautiful cinematic, high production value video.
Right, the big shiny stuff.
Yeah. But the other 99% of your cast, the thousands of everyday items that actually make up the profitable long tail of your sales, they are just standing in the background as cardboard cutouts.
Just cardboard cutouts, yeah.
Yeah. We've built this ecosystem of a few high-gloss hero products, surrounded by just a massive ocean of zero products that receive absolutely zero dynamic support.
The disparity is staggering. And what's fascinating here is that your marketing and merchandising teams are actually acutely aware of the gap.
Oh, they definitely know.
Yeah. Nobody in the C-suite needs to be convinced of the ROI of video anymore. The heat maps, the conversion analytics, they consistently prove that dynamic visual content lifts sales. It increases dwell time.
The hurdle has never been belief.
Exactly. The hurdle is the sheer velocity and volume of modern retail. Vendors update packaging mid-season. New items arrive on the loading dock every single week. A minor feature change renders a $5,000 video obsolete instantly.
Instantly. You have to start all over again.
Right. The traditional production method is fundamentally incompatible with the speed at which you have to operate.
And if this is a massive headache for something simple, like, say, apparel, where a static photo of a t-shirt on a model usually does the job well enough, imagine the absolute nightmare this becomes in categories where the product is inherently complex.
Oh, it's exponentially worse.
You cannot effectively sell a complex power tool or a piece of architectural hardware with a JPEG. The friction of the purchase absolutely requires demonstration.
The home improvement sector serves as the perfect crucible for this exact problem, which the article points out so well.
Right, because of the types of products.
Yeah, think about the specific friction involved in buying power tools. Mosquito screens, modular storage solutions, lighting fixtures, complex home safety products. These are categories where the value proposition is entirely visual and deeply functional.
The consumer is constantly asking, will this fit? How hard is this to install?
What does this actually look like when it's operating?
Let's drill down into a specific scenario to really highlight the absurdity of the current model. Imagine a customer is on your site trying to buy a mid-tier smart home security system. It has multiple cameras, a hub, specific wiring requirements.
Okay, pretty complex purchase.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're staring at a static image of the box and maybe a bullet point that says compatible with standard junction boxes.
Which means nothing to the average person.
Exactly. They need to know if they can install it themselves or if they need to hire an electrician. And your solution right now is offering them a link to a 12-page PDF manual.
Oh, terrible.
They look at that PDF, they get overwhelmed, and they bounce. We lose a high-margin sale because of a lack of visual explanation. But let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
If I'm sitting in the executive chair and I see that we're bleeding conversions on high-margin, complex hardware, why don't I just dictate a strategy shift? Like, if the ROI is there, shouldn't I just forcefully divert 20% of the overall ad spend specifically into video production to cover those items?
I mean, it sounds logical on paper. But if we connect this to the bigger picture of your operational logistics, you'll quickly see why budget reallocation is a completely flawed strategy.
How so?
Well, yes, injecting more capital helps you hire more agencies,
Yeah.
but traditional production is fundamentally a bottleneck of time and physics, not just a shortage of cash.
Right. Time and physics.
Yeah, you cannot physically squeeze a backlog of 50,000 complex hardware items through a traditional studio pipeline. Even with an unlimited budget, I mean, how many camera crews can you actively manage?
How many physical studio spaces can you even rent?
Exactly. And how many rounds of review can your legal, compliance, and product teams realistically handle in a standard work week? Time quickly becomes your ultimate enemy.
Because the time to market window for that seasonal product will literally close before the video ever makes it out of post-production.
Precisely. A text spec sheet cannot convey how a mosquito screen seamlessly installs into a custom window frame, or how a specific lighting fixture casts shadows to transform the ambience of a living room.
It just can't do it.
No. But taking 3 weeks to manually produce a video for that single mosquito screen means 50 other new products are being entirely ignored. You're trying to force a fire hose of inventory through a garden hose of production capacity.
It's not a money problem, it's a mechanical bottleneck, which means AI isn't just acting as a bigger budget. It has to be an entirely new assembly line.
Right.
It's basically the difference between hiring 100 monks to hand paint manuscripts versus, inventing the printing press. And we're finally seeing that printing press emerge for product merchandising.
The process itself must fundamentally change to eliminate the bottleneck, and that is precisely where the paradigm shift occurs. We are moving away from traditional cameras and sets and moving toward artificial intelligence.
And we should be clear here.
Yes, we need to be very clear. This is not AI as a vague, futuristic buzzword. This is AI deployed as a highly specific, scalable utility that pulls a brilliant logistical trick. It leverages the massive amount of content your retail organization already owns.
This is the critical unlock for anyone managing these systems. Retailers have spent the last decade and millions of dollars meticulously building out their product information management systems, their PIM data.
Yeah, the data's already there.
You already have the raw materials. You have the structured data. the voltage specs, the dimensions, the warranty information. You have the unstructured data, the detailed product descriptions, the feature lists, the high-resolution static imagery.
Right, you've paid for all of that.
But right now, all of that data is dormant. It just sits in a database and gets spit out onto a web page as dry text. The mechanism here is that the AI acts as a translation layer.
Exactly. The technology, specifically tools like MMP AI Studio, which the article highlights, takes that dormant, often messy PI data and operationalizes it.
Yeah, operationalizes it, yes.
It doesn't just read the database fields, it synthesizes them. It feeds your raw, unstructured data into a large language model to automatically write a conversational, persuasive script. Yeah. It turns a bullet point about, 18-volt lithium-ion capacity into a narrative sentence about powering through your toughest weekend projects without needing a recharge.
But the script is only half the battle. Here's where it gets really interesting, because a script alone doesn't solve the visual problem. The technology then maps that synthesized script onto a photorealistic AI-generated avatar.
Right.
It uses advanced text-to-speech algorithms to generate a professional voiceover. It animates the product imagery to highlight the specific features being discussed, generates the captions, and packages it as a finished dynamic video.
In minutes.
Yes. It executes this entire pipeline in minutes rather than weeks. It is quite literally like cloning your absolute best, most knowledgeable floor salesperson, handing them a dry spreadsheet of specs for a complex drawl, and having them instantly deliver a flawless, engaging pitch to the customer.
You're taking data that a customer would almost certainly skim or ignore, and you're activating it into a guided narrative.
It's incredible.
It really is. But let's pause and address a vital operational friction point here. Localization.
Let's go there, because localization is usually the hidden killer of ROI. If I want to roll out a product across North America and Europe, traditional localization means rewriting the script, hiring a whole new set of voice actors for French, Spanish, German, and then re-editing the audio track to match the visuals.
Which is incredibly expensive.
It kills the margin for a mid-tier product entirely. So how does the AI actually bypass that massive expense?
The AI completely bypasses the human staffing element of localization because the avatar and the voice are entirely synthetically generated from the text-to-speech engine. Translating the video simply means passing the generated script through a neural translation model.
Okay, so it just translates the text first.
Right, and then the system re-renders the avatar, speaking the new language, with perfectly synced lip movements and culturally appropriate voice modulation.
That's wild.
You can generate a French, German, and Japanese version of the product video simultaneously in the same few minutes it took to generate the English version. And it's for fractions of a penny on the dollar compared to hiring a studio in Paris or Tokyo.
The efficiency is just staggering. But I know some creative directors listening might feel a bit of apprehension right now. I think it's important to clarify a crucial nuance regarding the intent behind this technology. The goal of this AI integration is absolutely not to replace your traditional premium creative production.
Not at all. Your Super Bowl ad is still getting a human director.
Right.
Your major brand initiatives, your emotional holiday campaigns, your massive flagship product launches, you will always rely on traditional, bespoke human creativity for your macro brand storytelling.
It's not coming from the top of the pyramid.
Exactly. The AI is not there to replace the peak of your pyramid. It is there to fill the enormous gaping hole in the middle and that exceptionally long tail of your catalog. It exists to serve the thousands upon thousands of SKUs that currently receive zero video support because their individual sales volume simply cannot justify a $10,000 production budget.
Right.
It's entirely about taking the zeros and finally giving them a voice.
You're establishing a baseline of dynamic support where previously there was only silence. So what does this all mean for the architecture of your business? If I'm sitting in the C-suite and my primary operational bottleneck has just been vaporized.
Completely vaporized.
Yeah. If video creation now takes minutes instead of weeks and the cost per unit plummets, how does this fundamentally change my overarching retail strategy and my team's day-to-day operations?
This raises an important question about resource allocation and organizational structure. For years, the strategic question retail executives asked themselves was, which 50 products are important enough to deserve a video this year?
Which 50 out of 50,000?
Exactly. That is an inherent mindset of scarcity. Your marketing teams were essentially acting as rationing boards, arguing over which department got the budget to explain their products to the consumer.
They spent more time fighting over the budget and managing the logistics of the shoot than they did actually merchandising the product.
Precisely.
Right.
But when you integrate a system that can generate localized dynamic video directly from your existing PM data in minutes, you shift your entire organization from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance.
That's a huge shift.
It is. The strategic question changes entirely. You should now be asking, how much video would our e-commerce platform contain if creating it no longer required a prohibitive investment of time and capital?
Wow.
The true strategic significance here is not merely that one single video gets produced faster, it's that you can now conceptualize video merchandising at an entirely unprecedented scale.
Think about the downstream effects of that scale. Let's talk about SEO and site architecture for a second. When you suddenly deploy 10,000 highly relevant, keyword-rich videos across your long-tail product pages, what happens?
Your dwell time skyrockets.
Yes. The search engine algorithms see users staying on your pages for 2 minutes instead of bouncing after 10 seconds. Your organic search rankings improve organically because the site is suddenly providing massive utility.
Exactly.
And think about the human capital shift. A marketing team that used to sweat over the logistical nightmare of producing a couple dozen videos a year can suddenly contemplate a catalog of thousands.
The role of the marketing team fundamentally elevates. They transition from being project managers coordinating camera rentals and talent contracts to becoming strategic curators and editors.
Right, they get to actually do marketing.
Yes. When the spring patio assortment arrives on the loading dock, they don't have to initiate a 2-month production cycle. They simply ensure the PM data is accurate, run the AI generation protocol, and refresh the entire category with dynamic, localized video presentations overnight.
You're seamlessly bridging the gap between your top-tier hero products and the incredibly long, highly profitable tail of your catalog. You're equipping every single item with the ability to actively sell itself rather than passively waiting in the dark for a consumer to hopefully read the fine print.
It eliminates the silent CQ entirely.
Hmm.
Every product gets a chance to make its case to the buyer.
It's an incredible strategic superpower to suddenly possess in a highly competitive digital landscape. You no longer have to settle for the cardboard cutouts. You can finally bring the entire cast to life and give your customers the guided consultation they actually want.
It changes everything.
It really does. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the end of the silent catalog, it leaves us with a truly provocative vision of the near future to consider. If artificial intelligence now allows us to effortlessly give every single product in an endless digital aisle its own dynamic, localized video presentation, how will the very concept of a traditional product page evolve over the next 5 years?
That's the real question.
Will the consumers of tomorrow even tolerate scrolling through static images and dense blocks of text anymore? Or will e-commerce shopping soon become an entirely visual, passive, and continuously guided experience from the exact moment you click all the way through to checkout? Just something to think about tomorrow morning when you open up that dashboard.